start with the game? Kind of had a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Obviously, I'll start with the atmosphere. I mean, when the second goal goes in, it's incredible. It's one I'm going to remember for a long time for sure. I think a lot went against us tonight, and I felt that the players responded incredibly. So when you look at the performance, I was really happy with the performance. I didn't feel we deserved to lose that game. I felt we deserved to win that game. There was so much to be proud of, and I think tonight was a special night when you look at performance, obviously results, and then atmosphere for the community is incredible.
The moment right before the half where your goal is given, disallowed, and they score at the other end, you go into the half. What is that conversation like? How do you get them back in the right mindset?
For the players, we have to focus on the next action. We cannot control what just happened to us. They told us it's a goal. They told Paulo it's a goal. They changed their mind. For me, it's a difficult moment, you know. So the response at halftime was, "We are going to get two." There was not a question. I told the players, "You have to believe we're going to get two." I certainly do, and I felt the performance again was excellent.
And then you get the first one with Lindsay coming back off the injury. And what did you see in that moment from him?
I saw a pretty tough first touch, going pretty high, and then I saw a guy that definitely has the resilience and the drive to put it in the back of the net and put his body on the line. So, when you look at him coming in off of missing time and an injury and a quick turnaround, credit to the training staff and to him for the work that he put in. When you look at Jorge's return, we had quite a few guys out injured today that we're hoping are going to continue to return from those as well. So, for Brian, a really good moment and one he deserved.
And then with Oscar, I don't know enough Spanish to repeat what he told us, but he essentially said there's always another chance, and sort of was the embodiment of that. I mean, what did you see at this particularly classy finish?
I thought it was an excellent finish. Obviously, a good ball to him. And for me, he was excellent tonight. I think what you're seeing from him over the course of the last, what has it been, 4 or 5 games in a row now, I think at least, for me, his heart, his drive, his mentality, it embodies what Louisville City is. And so for him to get that moment tonight, first of all, he earned it. Second of all, a lot of technical quality to be able to finish the way that he did there.
The way this game was called and the reaction from the fans here, does that light a fire underneath you guys?
Yeah, for me, I think this is a moment to build. As I said, I felt there was a lot against us tonight. And the players to respond the way that they did at halftime when that moment happens and then they go down and they score, that's difficult from a momentum standpoint. So we were in that locker room and all we talked about was, this is what we need to adjust. You need to believe we're going to score 2, because the entire staff does, and they all obviously agreed. And so I thought the response out of half was good, and I thought the goals were excellent.
The month of August has been what for Lou City? Let's finish that sentence.
Inconsistent, I think. Obviously we win a couple games, we lose a game, draw a couple games, but I think for me it's building on this moment, and I know the players they're going to take confidence from the performance, because it was a good performance. It wasn't one we hung on to, it's one we deserved, in my opinion. And so we build on it.
I mean, officiating shenanigans aside, Oakland played a pretty shameless stop and start style. I guess kind of how do you manage your team through this momentum killing strategy that they've tried to implement?
Yeah, I think first of all, it comes from obviously conceding first, which is what happened against Birmingham. When you do that, regardless of the call and regardless of what happened, when you do that, you put yourself in a position to have to deal with those antics, right? So, one of our biggest things we've been talking about lately is making sure we're focused on the next action. Whether we score, whether we concede, it doesn't matter what it is. We have to focus on the next action. And I thought we didn't do that once the goal called back on us. Once the goal we score gets called back on us, they then score. But I felt at halftime and the reaction from there, we focused on the next action, including when we scored.
Now, in this match, Jorge was clutching his hand for him. He looked like he was in pain. Nanny went out. You kind of had to really cobble together a team. So I guess two-part question.
Yep.
One, I guess how are those guys doing it? Does it look like anything serious? And two, I guess what are your thoughts about some of these players that are kind of just asked at this last minute to kind of play and like they're in a flexible nature?
I think it's a great question. So a couple things. One thing we've been talking about is making sure that our subs have an impact. And I felt all of our subs tonight had an impact on the game, which is historically here what has made this club so good. That's the first thing. When you look at Jorge, we expected him to only be able to go 45 minutes and pull him off at halftime. We talked to him at half. We were hopeful he could go another 10, 15 at the most. And he left everything on the field. There's not an injury there. It's just he was tight and cramping, which I expected. Manny, same thing. He was tight and cramping, but nothing went. So Carlos, same thing. I thought he had an excellent game, by the way. He cramps up. We don't want any longer term injuries, so we have to make those decisions. And like I said, I thought the guys that came in did an excellent job.
You get a result like this, and you mentioned the inconsistency, but just knowing you can kind of dominate the team that's at the top of their conference, does that give you hope in the bigger picture as you go down the stretch of the season that you're still a team that maybe nobody really wants to see in the playoffs?
Yeah, let me be clear about this. I never, maybe it's my job to not, but I never have lost hope or felt that we're not good enough to compete in the playoffs, or we have had inconsistent performances where we've been fantastic and still lost games, performances where we've been really poor and lost games, and the same thing the other way when we've won games. I have a group in there there is a lot of quality, and our performance last week, I talked about it enough, was unacceptable from a mentality standpoint. Tonight was what we expect from the group, and if we lose games with that bite and that fight, that happens. That's football. And I felt tonight we had that, and I think we talked before the game about if you have that at the bare minimum with the quality that we have in the locker room, you will win a lot of games. So to answer your question, long-winded, I have firm belief that we have the quality in there to do something special. Tonight was a special moment, but complacency can't set in because of this moment. We have to come back to work on Monday and grind and be ready to go next week against another difficult opponent in a difficult place with difficult travel.